Okay, so I'm going to teach you 3 column variations here real quick. And an apology, I lied to you earlier. Technically, these are not called columns. I just didn't really know what else to call them when you're doing 2 vertical one-hand tosses. Technically, these are columns. And it's exactly the same, except that you're synchronizing a toss in your other hand with the outer ball. So this is a columns where I'm primarily using my right hand for the 2 and 1, and then I'll do it again with the left. As usual, my left side is weaker because I'm a bad boy and I don't practice equally on both sides. So those are columns, and you can practice this. Definitely requires more coordination than just focusing on the one hand. Keeping everything steady will be a little bit more difficult, but there's not much to say here. You're still just doing 2 in one hand with another throw from the other hand. And the secret here is to not do this. Make sure that you're synchronizing with the outside ball. And try to keep them both straight. I don't think there's much to say here. When you get pretty good, when you can do this on both sides, you can try switching. Actually, a good way to get into that first is to just do 2 in one hand and switch which hand you're doing 2 in one hand with. When the middle ball peaks, start throwing from the other hand. Middle ball peak, other hand. Middle ball peak, other hand. And then you get to a point where you're just doing this with both balls, and when the middle ball peaks, you switch hands in the middle. Kind of hard to control all of the balls when you're doing that, but you can practice that. And then the other thing is fake columns, and frankly this is much easier. Still synchronizing both of the outer balls, but this time you're really not doing a throw with the other hand. You're just moving it up and down in sync with the outer ball. Oh, oops, here it is on the other side. I showed you this earlier when I taught you the 2-ball vertical toss, the columns, that eventually this is going to turn into the factory. So even though it looks like a cheat of a trick because you're not doing a throw, there will be plenty of, a lot of the cooler tricks, it's not the throw that's cool, it's the carrying of the ball that's cool and important. So don't let that phase you or anything, even though this doesn't look like a trick. Getting used to moving your free hand around is pretty great. And then one last variation, and I don't do this very often, but it's crossing the columns. So you do columns and then do kind of like a cascade toss, except higher and arcing toss on both sides, so the outer balls switch position. And the tough thing about that is that they can't be perfect tosses. If they're both right aligned with each other and you throw them at the same height, they're gonna crash in midair, which does happen sometimes. So you'd have to intentionally offset them by putting one hand in front of the other or making one throw slightly higher than the other. It's up to you how you wanna try and navigate that. Like I said, I don't do this trick very often, just because I was eager to move on to the factory and other stuff, but you can do it. Maybe I should incorporate it into my style more, I don't know. You want to get really fancy. When you get to the point where you can do these column tosses and alternate, you want to get really, really cool, you can swap your arms on these column tosses so that you switch to the left, switch to the right, and then here, just keep going. Catch both of the outside balls like that. God, I haven't done this in so long. And then cross them over. I practiced that for like a week and I was like, and I kind of abandoned it. But it looks pretty cool if you can get it. And then later when you're doing Boston mess, see how they hit in midair? There you go. And that looks pretty cool. That's part of the reason why I don't practice it from columns. I like doing this hand swap stuff. There you go. So anyways, a few things for you to practice. Columns, it's pretty good for coordination. I haven't been practicing it much, so maybe I should to get my hands a little more steady. some more stuff for you to draw.